Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we got to talk about Google because Don't Be Evil is no longer on the menu for them. Now, here's what's going on. There's a really good write-up by my homegirl Sky Jacob of TechSpot, but first things first, I want to give you the background before we actually dive into what is happening at Google right now, because quite frankly, I've been a bit dismayed. Now, as you all know, on January 20th, President Trump was sworn into office, and one of his executive orders, and this isn't being political, I'd have a problem no matter who did this, but one of his executive orders was essentially to remove the AI ethical framework or AI development framework that basically revolved around ethics that the previous president had put into place. With that rescinded, we basically then announced a $500 billion investment into the advancement of artificial intelligence and then China's DeepSeek, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is that the ethical framework and guidelines essentially were removed. And by virtue of that, we now have Google News because they've quietly removed a key passage from its AI principles that previously committed Google to avoiding the use of AI in potentially harmful applications, including weapons. Now, this change was first noticed by Bloomberg and essentially marks a shift in Google's earlier stance on responsible AI development. Again, there's no presidential order or act of Congress that has ethical framework around it. And the now deleted section that was entitled AI Applications We Will Not Pursue, they had explicitly stated that Google would refrain from developing technologies, and I quote, that cause or are likely to cause overall harm, end quote. And weapons was a specific example that they gave. So, in response to this change, Google pointed to a blog post published by James Maniika. He's a senior vice president at Google, and Demis Habbis, who leads Google's DeepMind. Now, the post said, and I apologize if I screwed up those names, but the post said that democracies should lead AI development guided by core values such as freedom, equality, and respect for human rights. I would agree with that statement. It also called for collaboration among companies, governments, and organizations sharing these values to create AI that protects people, promotes global growth, and supports national security, aka weapons. Because it sounds good, but quite frankly, if you read into essentially the protection of people, national security, yeah, that's weaponization because, of course, you're going to have to defend. It's not that you're simply reading the threats and then doing nothing about it. You're seeing the threats and you're acting upon it, which means weaponizing things. So, Margaret Mitchell, who was a former co-lead of Google's ethical AI team, she's currently the chief ethics scientist at Hugging Face, talking to Bloomberg, said she was concerned about the implications of removing the harm clause. Quote, it means Google will probably now work on deploying technology that directly can kill people. And yeah, that's the concern, right? Without any kind of ethical guardrails or framework, why not? And if we are pursuing or pushing into this, we're going to be doing that in the same way that, quite frankly, our adversaries like China, Russia, etc., would be doing it as well. And so at one point, do we all take a step back? Do we all make agreements? And do we all say, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't build Skynet and the Terminators? I think this is something that we're going to need to really understand and focus on. But when we have one of the largest corporations on the planet and one of the biggest tech companies on the planet basically removing essentially their safety, security, responsibility, ethical frameworks around AI quietly, that's a concern. I think that is an indicator of where this industry is going for the next few years at least. And I don't think that's good overall. I also understand the implications, et cetera, but nevertheless, I think we need to take a step back because regulation always is behind tech innovation. And if tech innovation is moving faster than ever now, it just means we're further and further behind from actually protecting people from this issue. So I'll leave it at that. That is your news of the day. Not a fan, but here we are. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, just please, please, please attempt to stay private and informed. Take care.